I was 27 when this happened, old enough to trust my instincts, young enough to ignore them anyway. I worked nights at a small logistics company outside Jacksonville, basically babysitting inventory databases and answering the rare phone call after midnight. My job was quiet, repetitive, and lonely, which suited me since I've always been the type who'd rather listen than talk. This happened in October 2020, right in the middle of election chaos. My neighborhood was split. Lots of heated Facebook posts, yard signs disappearing overnight, people glaring at each other in grocery lines. I didn't care much about politics personally, but the tension in the air made everyone weirdly defensive. I avoided all of it. Most nights I got off work around 3:30 a.m., and by then the city felt hollow, just empty gas stations, truck engines humming far off, and the occasional person who looked like they'd been awake too long. I'd drive home with the windows cracked open, drinking cold, convenience store coffee to stay awake. The night this happened started exactly like that. I clocked out, stretched, nodded goodbye to my supervisor, and stepped into the damp, warm Florida air. I remember thinking I just wanted to get home, shower, and sleep. Nothing felt unusual. Nothing felt wrong. If anything, the night felt calmer than usual. That calm lasted until I stopped at the 24-hour gas station near the on-ramp, a place I'd been to hundreds of times, a place that never made me nervous until that night. My routine was the same every shift. Grab gas, grab coffee, maybe a snack, then drive straight home. The workers at the station knew me. There was Maria on weekdays, who always asked about my mum's health even though she'd never met her. On weekends, there was a college kid who'd zone out watching anime on his phone. Tonight, Maria was there. She smiled when I walked in, leaning on the counter with that half-awake, half-bored expression. The place smelled like old fryer oil and lemon cleaner, comforting in an odd way. I grabbed my usual canned coffee, paid, chatted briefly. Nothing strange. When I stepped outside, a white pickup truck pulled in. Not unusual for Florida, obviously. But I noticed the driver right away because he parked crooked across two spots, leaving the engine running. Loud country music pulsed through the open windows. The headlights stayed on, pointed directly at me, lighting up the whole parking lot. I didn't think much of it, just assumed he was drunk or careless. As I got into my car, I saw him step out. He was tall, maybe mid-50s, wearing a red Trump hat, bright, clean, new-looking. He moved slowly toward the convenience store doors, but he kept glancing at me. Not angry, not curious, just aware. A weird kind of stillness in the eyes. Like he had already decided something about me. I broke eye contact, started my car, and backed out. The drive toward the on-ramp was quiet, empty. I felt relieved to get away from his staring. But in the rearview mirror, just as I merged onto the highway, I saw headlights swing behind me, a white pickup truck. I told myself it was nothing, just coincidence. I was wrong. At first, it really did seem like nothing. The truck kept a couple hundred feet behind me, far enough not to be suspicious, close enough not to be ignored. I tried not to look at my mirror too much. The last thing I needed was to creep myself out. But then I noticed something. Whenever I changed lanes, even when there was no reason to, the truck changed lanes too. Smoothly, deliberately, no hesitation. I tested it a few times. I moved right, he moved right. I moved left, he moved left. I slowed down slightly. He slowed too. Not dramatically, not tailgating, just mirroring. My chest tightened. I told myself it was stupid to assume anything. Maybe he just lived in my direction. Maybe he wasn't even the same guy from the station. I took the next exit early, planning to loop around. The truck followed, not right away, 5, maybe 6 seconds later, but not far enough behind to call coincidence. The road I turned onto was basically empty, lined with dark warehouses and chain-link fences. The truck's headlights filled my mirror again. I could feel them on the back of my neck. The silence in my car felt too loud. I turned down my radio without realizing I had done it. At the next stoplight, there was no one else around, just me, the blinking yellow light, and the white pickup slowly pulling up behind me, so slowly that the sound of gravel beneath his tires carried across the intersection. I glanced back. The man was sitting upright, hands at 12 and 2, eyes fixed straight ahead but slightly tilted, like he was watching me through the crack of his windshield. That was the moment I felt the first actual shiver, a cold, sinking sense that this was not ordinary, that maybe this man wasn't just following traffic. When the light turned green, I accelerated a little too fast. He did too. My heartbeat grew louder than the road noise. I wasn't completely panicking yet, but everything in me was alert. My mouth felt dry. I kept scanning for signs of life. Another car, an open business, anything. The road curved toward a residential area, and I took a sharp right into a neighborhood I didn't know well. It was a gamble. If he wasn't following me, he'd continue straight. But when I made the turn, the white truck's headlights swung with me, cutting across the houses like a spotlight. That's when I knew. I took random lefts and rights through the neighborhood, deliberately looping, doubling back, doing everything short of driving onto someone's lawn. The truck stayed behind. Same distance, same steady speed. Finally, I reached a dead-end street lined with modest single-story homes. My stomach dropped. I had turned myself into a corner. I whipped the car around in a sloppy 3-point turn and made eye contact for a split second as the truck passed under a street lamp. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't angry. Just staring with this unreadable, focused intensity. The bright red Trump hat looked almost fluorescent under the light. He slowed his truck as he approached me, much too slow, like he wanted me to see him. Like he had all the time in the world. Then he stopped in the middle of the road. I froze. He sat there, engine running, staring at me from behind his windshield. Not moving, not rolling down the window, not reaching for anything. Just watching. My instincts surged. Go, go, go. I floored it past him, barely squeezing between his bumper and a mailbox. Tires screeched. He honked once. Long, sharp, and angry. Then his headlights swung behind me again. This time he sped up. I reached the main road and ran a red light. I didn't care. I just needed somewhere public, somewhere bright. The only thing open nearby was a Walmart supercenter that stayed open until 5 a.m. I pulled into the lot, skidding slightly as I parked near the entrance. I jumped out and sprinted toward the sliding doors. They whooshed open, and the fluorescent lights felt like salvation. There were a few overnight employees stocking shelves, a janitor mopping near the pharmacy, and a couple of truckers grabbing snacks. I didn't want to cause a scene, so I ducked into the produce aisle and pretended to check prices. My hands shook as I picked up a bag of apples I didn't want. Then I heard it, a loud engine revving outside. My breath hitched. I peeked around the corner. The white truck rolled slowly past the front entrance, scanning the rows of cars. Then it stopped. The man got out. He walked straight toward the store, calm, deliberate, focused. Same hat, same blank stare. He pushed through the doors and entered like he had business here. I tried to walk quickly without looking like I was running, heading for customer service, but he spotted me immediately. "Hey!" he called out. I pretended not to hear. "Hey!" I turned. He was 10 feet away, "You drive that blue Honda?" he asked, voice low, flat, almost mechanical. No, I lied. He tilted his head. "I saw you at the gas station." I swallowed. "Okay? You left fast." His tone wasn't accusing, just stating facts. "Then you started driving weird." I didn't notice. He stepped closer. "You should be more careful. People get paranoid these days. Lots of tension." He tapped his hat with 2 fingers. "People make assumptions." I forced a nod. "Right." He stared for another long moment. Then he leaned in the slightest bit and whispered, "Don't run next time." And he walked out. I stayed inside Walmart for almost 40 minutes, pretending to browse, pretending to compare prices. I kept expecting to see him again, waiting outside, sitting in his truck, blocking the exit. But when I finally gathered the courage to walk out, the parking lot was empty. The truck was gone. I drove home shaking, checking every mirror constantly. I didn't see him again. I filed a police report the next day. The officer nodded politely, but made it clear there wasn't much they could do unless he'd threatened me directly or harmed me. "People follow each other accidentally all the time," he said. "Could have been a misunderstanding." Maybe it was, but the way he looked at me, the way he mirrored my every move, the way he whispered, "Don't run next time," none of that felt like misunderstanding. I changed my route to work. I stopped going to that gas station. For months, I'd get jolts of adrenaline every time I saw a red hat or a white pickup. I still do. It's been 4 years now. Life moved on, mostly. But sometimes late at night, when I drive home from a late shift, I still catch myself studying my mirrors too carefully, looking for twin headlights following too perfectly. A few months ago, someone left a red hat on my porch, just sitting there. No note. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe a package landed on the wrong doorstep. Or maybe he never stopped watching. I just know one thing: I still run, and I don't look back.